In all the dungeons you explore and the dragons you encounter one beast, perhaps deadlier than all the rest. The lich. They are death, and only a fool would seek them out. But you are an adventurer. You welcome all challenges and fear no death. Maybe you have encountered one in the past. Maybe you have battled and defeated one. Maybe you know that battling and defeating them is not enough. You have hunted down the phylactery, this magical source of their immortality, and destroyed it. Maybe you have, but I doubt it. Liches are not so easily defeated. I know the names of many liches. Some are known by many. Asarak, who created the Tomb of Horrors. Vecna of the Hand and Eye. Sastam of Thorga. These are all famous liches, and worthy of being feared, able to command armies of undead. But these are not the ones I fear the most. The ones who really frighten me are the ones you never hear about, but who plan and plot their schemes in silence and secrecy over millennia, waiting for the right time to become known by the world, because then it will be too late. I had heard legends, of course, but I might never have encountered a lich had it not been for a chance. My gem supplier disappeared. He was killed by a jealous lover. I investigated it, and it reminded me of another gem supplier I'd had 200 years ago in another part of the world, thousands of miles away. And the trail and the clues were almost the same. So I dug a little deeper and found that over the centuries, over the millennia, a number of gem dealers had disappeared. All of them had been killed by jealous lovers or rivals. But there was something similar about the circumstances, and investigating, I found they had one customer in common. A wizard, or at least a wizard family, who lived on an island in a river. And investigating further, I realized that they were ordering enough diamond dust and rare magical spell components to more than the greatest schools of wizardry and concentrations of wizards in all the known world. So I decided to investigate further. Now, at first glance, there's nothing wrong. It was where a wizard and his apprentices lived. He was well respected and loved by his local community. He blessed their cattle, their crops were good, and he drove off marauding bands of humanoids. I made an appointment and met his chief apprentice and chatted with him, and his chief apprentice was definitely human, and except for the fact that he was a little bit duller, more boring than I'd expected, and everybody in the village was unusually dull. I mean, this was a rural village, and rural villages are not generally the most exciting places, but there's something that piqued my interest. They were duller than I'd expected. So I came back and made an appointment to meet the wizard himself. It was not easy, but I got to see him, and to be honest, none of my magic detected anything amiss, neither did my instincts. But finally, as just because I'm a pushy adventurer and I care nothing, I cast my most powerful dispel magic at the end, and for a brief second there, revealed in front of me was the classic skeletal, burning, magical evil of a lich. And then he disappeared before I could do anything. And then all the locals started attacking me. They were just peasants, and really, the apprentices, the guards, they had no chance against the likes of me, and I defeated them and started driving them off, and they surrendered to me. But I went after the lich. I went looking for the lich. Now my magics couldn't detect him, but then the villagers who I thought I defeated came at me. Not the guards, but children, old women, pregnant mothers, my own horse, my own familiar, anything that I knew was not my enemy. But he attacked me with whatever he thought maybe my compassion would protect. And admittedly, I did. And I fled, gathered my companions, and re-attacked. Now he continued his plans. He attacked us with not when our adventuring party, a formidable group, attacked the lich's lair. He didn't attack us with undead as we'd planned. He attacked us with children again, with pregnant mothers, with old ladies, with people. Some had been magically strengthened to resist our attacks and could blast us with powerful fingers of death and disintegrate spells before the lich abandoned them and we blasted a defenseless human. And others were not protected by his magic, and the slightest retaliation would instantly kill these mortal dupes, these people who had been deceived by a lich, and I couldn't blame them. We used all our forces to drive them away, but we had killed some, and it weighed heavily on the cleric and the paladin, and all of us, to be honest. But then we pushed on deeper into the lair, determined to defeat the evil. Our advance took us underwater, because a lich can exist underwater, and his armies of zombies could too. And when I say armies, I mean armies. Maybe he just raised one a month, quietly, but one a month over centuries, over millennia, are thousands. And a lich in his lair. We had a warlock in our group who, with just a short rest, with 1 hour, can regenerate all its strength. But a warlock's magical resources are little compared to a lich, and a lich in its lair can regenerate not in an hour, but in a minute, 2 at the very most. Every minute it attacked us with 8 zombies. Now, we laughed when first we were attacked by zombies, and laughed again. But the lich kept its distance. It never came close to us, and we couldn't use any kind of divination to detect where it was. It just sent wave after wave after wave after wave after wave of zombies, because the lich doesn't tire, and the lich has limitless magic and limitless spells to call upon in its lair. We do not. I believe it teleported out, raised dead, and returned with 8 zombies, sent them after us, moved out again. Now, first we just annihilated them. But after an hour and 480, they started taking their toll. And after a day and approaching 10,000, we were tired, and we realized that we wouldn't. Eventually, we'd run out of spells. Maybe not cantrips, but we were getting tired. We didn't have limitless energy like the lich. We needed sleep. We needed food. We needed water. We needed rest. We needed to pray to get our strength back. The lich doesn't. So we abandoned our defensive position where we had the upper hand and went after that lich. But it's not easy to close in on something that is invisible and stays invisible and never becomes visible and is undetectable to any divination spells. But every now and then we came across something. I remember one trap it laid for us with fire traps, with firestorms, and iron golems that were regenerated by these firestorms. We chased it through a magic circle to some iceberg where it attacked us at a distance too far for any of our weapons or normal magic. Only the warlock's eldritch blast and the sharpshooter's arrows could catch it, whilst it blasted us from great distances with ice storms, trying to wear down our distance casters. It might have worked, but a party of our resources are able to support and keep alive the two distance fighters, but only two could target it. It was a close thing, but I think we had the upper hand, so it retreated to another place where it's attacked. We've chased it through some dungeon full of tortured mind flayers who'd lost their minds and were just sending out psychic blasts. I was protected with my mind shield, as was the lich, but some of my companions, the barbarian fell there. Cold, necromancy, poisonous conditions, airless conditions. It fought us in them all. It tried us in different places, and it took down almost all my companions, but eventually we triumphed. Or so we thought. We defeated it, and it faded before us, dissolved. This, of course, was just a simulacrum, but we chased down the other one, the real one, and slew that one as well. There's only me left at the end of that combat, but I had defeated it. But where was the phylactery? Of course, I came across trinkets that could be the phylactery, but I knew they weren't. I contacted other planes to ask, but the gods do not know. Do not be misled by the gods saying you have destroyed the phylactery, for the gods are not omniscient as they like to claim. Their worshippers praise them as omniscient and believe they are. They have an intelligence beyond us, and they know the prayers and thoughts of all their worshippers. But if these prayers and thoughts are all misled by the same belief, and these intelligent gods do not put all their thought to the phylactery, then they can come to the wrong decision. When you pray, when you contact other planes or commune to find out if you have destroyed the phylactery, do you contact Orcus, whose domain the undead is? Do you contact the god of knowledge, or do you contact your own god? Because your own god probably doesn't know. Do you contact some other knowledgeable being, because the other knowledgeable being doesn't know? Liches are geniuses. They spend millennia plotting to defend their phylacteries. Sometimes even they do not know. They blot it out with alter memory spells, so even they do not know where their phylactery is. So, when you've destroyed a lich's mortal remains, maybe what you need to do is hold on to a part that might give you some kind of connection, some kind of link. There is no magic, no divination that will detect where it is. If you look into the what is it? Sequester spell? No. There are a spell that will protect it is enough to stop any divination and protect it forever. Your divinations will not find it. Your gods will not know, unless you contact Orcus. Maybe one of those two will know, or maybe there will be one moment where you can detect it, because the body of the lich will reform next to its phylactery, and you have seen that body, you know what it's like, and for one round, for 6 seconds, sometime in the next 10 days, the next 240 hours, 6 seconds in those 240 hours, it will be vulnerable to divination spells. And if you keep up constant divination spells for 240 hours, maybe in those 6 seconds, you can detect the location of that phylactery. You can detect the location of the lich, and you can detect the location of its phylactery before its magical defenses of the lich, not the phylactery, but of the lich itself, are raised again. Another suggestion I have is maybe some conjure elemental. If you use it at a higher power and conjure an invisible stalker knows the distance and direction of its of the object or creature you tell it to discover. If you tell it a phylactery, maybe it will know the distance and direction. But don't think it will be easy. There may not be even a word in the in Aurum or whatever language the invisible stalker speaks to describe how far this phylactery is from your current location, because though it'll be on the same plane, it may be the lifetime of many suns distance travel away, and the invisible stalker will have some knowledge of where it is, but unless you are reading its mind, it will probably you will probably not have any idea how far that is. These are suggestions I had that I've thought of since, but unfortunately I didn't discover the phylactery, and the lich I destroyed, I'm sure it exists again, and I'm living on borrowed time.